Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayomi Maseches GITTEN DAF Tzadik, the last and final DAF of our very dear Masechta. So we start right on top at the Mishnah Beis Shammai Oimrim. We learned so much about GITTEN, and of course it's based on the pasuk. V'haya im lo yisimtza chen be'einav. If it so happens that his wife loses favor in his eyes, ki matza ba ervas davar, because he discovered ervas davar, inappropriate behavior which generates suspicions of interaction with other men, etc. So that is justification for issuing a get. So, of course, any get issued under any circumstances, works. It takes effect. But in terms of preference, Eitzah Tova, in terms of what is meant to be, a person should not be issuing a get unless there's, firm basis for it, or else it's justified. Now, what justifies a divorce? We have three opinions: Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, and Rabbi Akiva. We start with Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai oimrim lo yigarish adam es ishto ela im kein motza ba dvar erva. The only justification for get is he discovers a dvar erva, inappropriate behavior, serious breach of tznius, which generates a concern of znus. Shenamar ki motza ba ervas davar, as the pasuk clearly indicates. Get is as a result of discovering an ervas davar. Beis Hillel oimrim, that's one option. But even if she's neglecting her domestic duties, even if she burnt his food, burnt it or oversalted it, said Rashi. Now the Meiri explains, of course, we're not speaking about a one-off, situation where she burnt a child. When we're speaking about an issue, regularly neglects her household chores, household duties, in which case she's not conforming, and that in itself, says Beis Hillel, is reason enough to divorce. That's a chiddush. Shenemar, as we have in the pasuk gives us two reasons for divorce: ki motza ba ervas and davar. Davar means any other serious issue. Rabbi Akiva Omer, he goes a step further. Afilu motza acheres noahim. Even if the husband discovered an isha who's nicer looking than his, that in itself is also justification. Shenemar v'hoyem lo yisimtza chen be'einav. If she loses favor in his eyes, he has a right to go ahead. Tanya, we have in a brisa a discussion between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. So Beis Shammai say, well, he divorced strictly due to discovering a dvar erva. Amrulem Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel responded, you're limiting it to that? Like Varnemar davar. Pasuk says not only erva, it says ervas davar. Apparently, there's another reason. There could be another reason for divorce. Amrulem Beis Shammai v'alek Varnemar ervas. But it says ervas, which sounds like only that is reason enough for divorce. Amr lahem Beis Hillel, well, im ne'amar ervas, v'leim ne'amar davar. Yeah, we know why it says ervas davar. If it only says ervas without davar, I would interpret the pasuk as follows: Mishum erva teitze. Erva is a reason to leave. Mishum davar le teitze, but otherwise you can't divorce. You shouldn't divorce. Lekach ne'amar davar. That's what the pasuk adds: ervas davar. Right? Ve'ilu ne'amar davar, v'loi ne'amar ervas. On the other hand, had the pasuk simply said he discovered something, some deficiency, without saying ervas, I would go the other way. I would be machmer. I would say, the pasuk there speaks about her divorcing, getting divorced from Reuven, going on and marrying Shimon. Right? The pasuk speaks about remarriage. So I would think that if the reason for the get was just davar, some other reason, then tinase la'achar, she's allowed to go marry somebody else after him. Because, she didn't violate any halachas, any, isurim. Umishum erva leitinase. But if the reason for divorce was erva leitinase la'achar, perhaps she can't go marry another person now because she's disqualified from marriage. That's why the pasuk has to stress both. L'kach nemar ervas, and also davar, to tell you, look, not only ervas is reason, even davar is reason. And not only by davar can she go marry somebody else, but by ervas as well, she can leave him and go try with somebody else. Perhaps he'll treat her better and she'll feel more at home. And that loyalty, that camaraderie will actually serve to protect the marriage. Now, Ubei Shammai had davar ma yavdile. Ubei Shammai say that erva is strictly the reason for divorce, not davar. Why does the pasuk say davar? To teach you a halach that at times, if the ervas is really davar, meaning it's been verified, it's been confirmed by two edim, then we're really in trouble. He has to divorce her. It's not just recommended. He has to. He can't live with her. It's also to live with her. Nemar kan davar. So we have the davar mentioned here. V'nemar lahal and davar. We have the word davar mentioned elsewhere. We connect it to vaya igzer shava. Right? Apishnayim edim. Apishleish edim yakum davar. And we say, just like the term davar in that context denotes confirmation through edim, ma lahalan b'shnei edim, afkan b'shnei edim here as well. If the davar was verified by way of two edim, she becomes asr to him. Right? But otherwise, if we don't really have, edim is just suspicion and indications of impropriety, but we don't have actual confirmation, then although he may divorce her, and perhaps it's a mitzvah to divorce her, but he doesn't have to, he doesn't, he can't live with her. He could stay on with her. So, ervas davar is describing one and the same thing. There's an issue with arayos, and we have two aspects. Unconfirmed, then he could divorce. Yes, confirmed, he must divorce. But that's it. That would be the only reason to divorce. Ervas davar, not higdicha tafshiloi, neglecting her duties. Ubeis Hillel respond, miksiv erva bidavar. If that was the meaning of the pasuk, it would say erva bidavar, an erva which is substantiated by edim. It says ervas davar, which sounds like two separate issues. Ubeis Shammai, they respond, miksiv oy erva oy davar. But, on the other hand, doesn't say or, this or that, which would make it sound like two items. Apparently it's one item. Ubeis Hillel respond, lahachi ksiv ervas davar, demash mahachi mash mahachi. That's exactly what the pasuk is trying to say. Cover both possibilities. You're right. If it would say oy erva oy davar, it would mean either arayis or other serious breaches of negligence, etc. Right? But you would know the halacha that the arayis have to be substantiated with edim in order to make her us. You would know that. So that's why the pasuk specifically used this term to cover all possibilities, to teach you all the halachas. Right? If it would say erva bedavar, then it would mean arayis substantiated with edim. If it would say oy ervas oy davar, then it would mean either arayis or another higdicha tafshila. But you would know the halacha that you need to edim to make her asr. So that's why the pasuk chose this very expression, ervas davar, which can have both meanings. It can mean either erva or davar, and ervas davar also sounds like it's ervas davar based on edim to teach you the halacha that edim make her asr. So Beis Shammai, only arayis can cause divorce. Beis Hillel, even higdicha tavshilei. Rabbi Kiva oimer afilu mota acheres, even if he loses interest, that in itself is reason. Ma'ika miflagi, b'der Reish Lakish. So what's the machlekes all about? Well, it's based on how to learn the psukim, right? So it's based on Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish. The word ki, which is found many times in the Torah, can have four definitions. Ki meshamish b'dal l'shonis. It can mean is im. If. Right? So it could be if, dilma, maybe, ella, just, daha, because, since. And Rashi goes through many examples, and highlights the difference between all these meanings and expressions, depending on various contexts. Okay, so the word ki is a magic word. It can have many meanings. And what does our pasuk speak about? The pasuk who speaks about divorce says ki gachish isha, right? V'hoyem loy simza chen be'enav shaluz chen ki. We have the word ki matzu ba'ervas davar. So the question is, which definition to apply to this word ki? Beis Shammai sabri, so Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel as well go with one option, and Rabbi Akiva with a different option, and that's how they end up with their respective opinions. Beis Shammai sabri v'hoyem lesim sechen be'enav ki matzo be'ervas davar means deha, since, because matzo be'ervas davar. Why is she losing favor in his eyes? There's a spiritual deficiency. It's not just a matter of looks. Ki matzo be'ervas davar. So according to Beis Shammai, dafka erva, according to Beis Hillel, erva or davar, both options. But bottom line is, the word ki is giving reason, giving meaning. She loses chayin because there's something serious. There's a arayis or higdicha tavshilei. Rabbi Akiva Savar, he learns that ki matzo be'ervas davar a bit differently. Ki means if there's another option, either lo simcha chen be'enav, it's an issue of her appearance, and then comes another option, or matzo be'ervas davar, he discovers something ervas or davar. Inami matzo be'ervas davar. So basically, you have three options. So this is all a matter of recommendation. A person should not be megarish unless this, that, or the other thing. What if he does go ahead and divorces, without any of these serious, justifications? What happens then? Is the get chal or not? Does it work or not? Amalei Rav Papa l'Rava loy motza ba loy erva v'loy davar mao. So let's go with Beis Hillel now. There's nothing wrong with her. There's nothing serious wrong with her. Okay? What happens to the get? Does it work or not? Amalei, he says, yeah. The get is a get. Regardless. The fact that the Torah reveals to us Gabi Oines, a person who forcibly interacts with a woman. The pasuk says he has to marry her. He can't let her go. Lo yuchal l'shalcha. And then we have two more words. Kol yamav. Throughout his entire life. What's the purpose of adding those words? To tell you that even if he divorced her, he has to take her back. Kol yamav. This is an ongoing proposition. Kol yamav ba'moid v'achzir kol. He has to take her back. So if he divorced her unjustifiably, he has to remarry her. So that's an exception. That's a chiddush. That's a one-time chiddush. The Torah compels him to remarry after divorce. Hasam with the Gali Rachmana. So the Torah there tells us that there's a chiddush. He shouldn't have divorced her. He was obligated to keep her. It's part of his, undoing of his wrong, of his wronging her. So that's a special stipulation, a special exception. But when it comes to your standard couple, even if they divorced unjustifiably, it's done. A get is a get. Suppose he intends on divorcing her. Okay, he's already scheming. And she's living with him like a married wife. Mahu, is that permissible? Kari Lacey responded with the pasuk, Al techrash esrei echad ra. Don't scheme against your friend. Who's sitting with you calmly, unsuspectingly. That's totally out of track. So sure, a person should not be doing that. If he intends on divorcing, he should, express it to her. And continues the Gemara, Tanya Hoyer Meir Omer. Kashem shehadayos b'machal. Just like you have many attitudes in terms of finickiness in food-related matters. You have people that are more sensitive, less sensitive, somewhere in the middle. Kach dayos b'noshim. Likewise, in terms of marital behavior, people that are ultra paranoid regarding their wives' communication, interaction with others. People are more flexible. Some people are somewhere in the middle. So basically, we're going to separate them into three categories: right, left, and center. Yesh lecha adam shezvuv noifel zech kaisei. You have a fellow who's oversensitive. This fly drops into his glass. V'zarkai v'nishasei. That's it. It contaminates his whole drink. Spills it out. Goodbye. And correspondingly, in terms of marital behavior, he's an ultra paranoid person. V'zoy midas Papas ben Yehuda. Papas, he would lock his wife into the house. Shayanoyel v'nei ishta v'yotiv. When he left the house, he would lock her in, lest she go and have a word with somebody out there. He was ultra paranoid, and obviously that's overdoing it. It's overzealous, and can backfire. Actually, being counterproductive. This fellow Papas ben Yehuda, he was married to none other than Miriam. Rashi brings this. He was the husband of Miriam Megadla Neshaya Haya. She used to braid women's hair. That was her profession. Her name was Miriam. And you know who this Miriam was? She was the mother of Oisai Ha'ish, Yashka, the founder of Christianity, who was actually a mamzer. His father's real name was Pandirus. The Gemara in Shabbos, I think Kuflam and Amar Beis brings that. It's not on the actual regular Gemara, it's on the side. The censors had taken it out, but today it's been restored. That's why we call him, by the way, Yashka Pandrik, because his father was really Pandirus. He wasn't Papas ben Yehuda, his mother's husband. She was Mizana with this fellow Pandirus, who ultimately fathered this son Yashka. And we see a frightening thing. She busted. This fellow was being too strict, right? Imagine living with Papas ben Yehuda, who locked her into the house. And actually she couldn't, she just burst, and she strayed. And look what we have. We have a mamzer who we still suffer from thousands of years later. So we see the effect, the counterproductive effect of being overcautious and overzealous. So that's an out. Papas ben Yehuda, don't follow that. You have a person somewhere in the middle, right? The fly drops into his kais. Okay, he flicks it out, but he can still drink the rest. That's your average person. In terms of his wife, he lets her converse with her relative, no problem. Manicha, not a big deal. And then you have a person all the way to the left, who totally disregards. He's not concerned. That denotes a lack of yirah shamayim. So we start with the food-related issue. So the zvuv falls into his dish, and it doesn't perturb him whatsoever. In fact, he sucks out the creature, and just making sure that there's nothing lost. And in marriage-related issues, he's going to be an adam ra, a person who's callous. So you meet this adam ra. He sees his wife behaving inappropriately, going out in the street, head uncovered, going about her business. V'tayva, she's doing her needlepoint, whatever. B'shuk, ufru mishnei tzadeh, her clothing are slit and open. V'rechetzes b'nei adam, and she bathes with people. So this fellow doesn't care, and it's not a good sign. You mean together with people? Then Rashi says that can't be, because that's raglaim l'davar. That's firm basis for divorce. She's indicating that she's a zayna, and she's really usher to him. It's not a matter of choice. She's usher to him. We need to say that she comes in when the men are leaving, and then she goes and so it's not actually at the same time. So it doesn't make her usher. It doesn't indicate that she's a zayna, but it's very inappropriate. And this fellow doesn't care. Zum mitzvah b'natar l'garsha. In fact, the Gemara says it's inappropriate to disregard that. In this case, there's a mitzvah to be megarsha shenemar ki matzah be'ervas davar v'shilchem be'beisoi, right? V'alcha v'hoisel ish achar. So the pasuk continues. She leaves Ruvain because of this behavior, and she goes and marries Shimon. The pasuk calls Shimon acher, a stranger. Why are we calling him a stranger? Hakasav kare acher, to tell you leimar. He's not matching up to her first husband in terms of spiritual level, in terms of his spiritual sensitivity. She'ein ze ben zugel rishon. He's not a match to the first husband, because Reuven reacted totally differently when he saw this behavior. Zeh, Reuven, the first husband, when he noticed this inappropriateness, what did he do? He sent her flying. He took the Risha out of his house. Then what happens now? Comes Shimon, he takes his wickedness, this wicked woman, into this house. Obviously, he shouldn't have done that. So now, there are two options, two things that may happen. And the pasuk gives us two possible outcomes regarding this second marriage. Zacha, if he was Zaycha for some reason, Shani, the new husband, Shilcha, then he goes and sends her away, divorces her, without suffering consequence. Shanamar Vasnei Sha'achrin, pasuk describes that the second fellow dislikes her and divorces her for the second time. But if he wasn't Zaycha, Kaivrasi, she'll bury him, he'll die first, because he shouldn't have done this, he shouldn't have married this Isha with this problematic Isha. Shanamar Oiki, Yamasei Sha'achrin, pasuk gives that as an option as well. He may pass away, and Kedayu B'misa, he's deserving of death. Why? He never should have taken her into his house after having exhibited this inappropriate behavior. Because as opposed to Reuven, who discarded this Risha from his home, Shimon took her in. Okay, so before we continue, we make our conclusion on the Masechta. Let's just summarize the sugya. The pasuk gives the husband an option of divorcing his wife. Now, what's considered a justified divorce? Beishamai say dvar erva. Beisil say even if she's neglecting her duties in terms of household, duties, and Rabbi Kiva says even if it's a matter of appearance, that's also justified. What if the divorce was not justified and he divorced her anyway? It works, because only by the oinus do we compel him to remarry, but not in your typical situation. We have moderation is always the best in terms of finickiness, in terms of looking over your shoulder, in terms of maintaining the marital relationship, and we have the brisa with the psukim that the husband number two should take care not to invite more trouble into his life. Okay, ki sanei shalach. This is a pasuk in Malachi. Ki sanei shalach. Rabbi Yehuda im sanei shalach. So Rashi learns this is in line with Rabbi Akiva. If, for some reason he dislikes her, shalach, you may send her away. You can divorce. Rabbi Yochanan Omer Sanu HaMeshalech. So Rashi learns in the second pshat that we're going in Shitas Beis Hillel. So, he discovered something. She burns his food on a regular basis, right? That's a serious concern. But still, he should try to avoid divorcing. Sonei HaMeshalech, one who divorces under these circumstances, is disliked. Says the Gemara, V'loi pligi. V'loi pligi. There really isn't much of a machlokes between these two Amoraim. Between Rabbi Yehuda says it's not a big deal to divorce. Rabbi Yechanan says try to avoid it if at all possible. V'loi pligi. Ha b'zivug rishon, ha b'zivug sheni. When it's his first marriage, Eishes Ne'urim, then try to avoid divorce if at all possible. But by Zivuk Sheni, if it's the second time around, it's not as serious. Dom Rabbi Lazar, Kol HaMegarish Ishte Rishon. If a person divorces his first wife, that's terrible. He's separating a bond. Afilu Mizbeach Meirul of Dmois. Even the Mizbeach. I say Afilu Mizbeach Samay Charuser. Or Mechi Samar, that a beautiful thing. He says, the Mizbeach is accustomed to hardened criminals, so to speak. He's getting karbonis all the time from Bali Avera. So even the Mizbeach, you think you've seen it all. Mizbeach is very distressed upon seeing somebody divorced, upon family being torn apart. Even the Mizbeach, sheds tears. You know, the Maharsha learns that the connection to the Mizbeach is because we know that the Shechina, right, the fire on the Mizbeach was a manifestation of the Shechina, right? Which is really a relationship between an Isha and Isha. Hashem is like the Ish and Klal Yisrael like the Isha. So it's reminiscent of an Isha v'Isha in this world, because we know the Gemara and Sotah, we learned this, right? That there's fire in each one of their names, right? Ish has Aleph and Shin, and Isha has Aleph and Shin. So, you know, that fire can be a positive thing, an expression of warmth and relationship. Right? If it's done properly, it's a wonderful bond, right? So, and here we speak about a gerushin, so that fire sort of erupted in a very damaging and detrimental way. Right? So the eish eichlasa, the fire, consumed them and consumed their relationship. So that's the connection, says the Maharsha. When there's a gerushin of Ishtar Rishona, even the Mizbeach which houses the Shechina, the eish of Shechina, there's a disruption there, because the gerushin between the Ish and the Isha is reflective of a sort of rift, a conceptual rift, and it affects, so to speak, the relationship between, you know, the Shechina relationship as well, and that's why the Mizbeach, right? There's sort of a lessening to a certain degree of the Shechina's pronunciation, because the Ish v'Isha exemplify the Shechina, manifest the Shechina. So there's a certain effect on the Shechina. It's detrimental to the concept of Shechina, and hence the Mizbeach shedding tears. I once saw a beautiful remez from Rabbi Yehuda Kessler. I feel Mizbeach murder Dmoy. What's the connection between Mizbeach and divorce? So he says a successful marriage requires sacrifice. Mizbeach is symbolizes sacrifice, karbanos. So lack of sacrifice can bring about gerushin. So where do we see this connection between Mizbeach and gerushin? Shenemar v'zois shenis tasu k'sois dima es Mizbach Hashem. So there's a pasuk in Malachi describing there was a situation where the men were marrying Geisha women, and their Jewish women Jewish wives were distressed, shedding tears. So the pasuk connects it to the Mizbeach as well. V'zoi shenis tasu k'sois dima es Mizbach Hashem b'chiv anokem ein oid pnei sel mincha l'kachas ratzim miyadchem. Why does the Mizbeach reject us? V'amartem al mo ki Hashem heid beincha bein eshes nurecha. Hashem is being made. He testifies. Look, what's going on between yourself and your dear wife? Asher ata bagad taba. You're rejecting her. V'hi chaveritcha ve'eshes b'secha. She's loyal to you, and you became disloyal to her. So we see this connection between a divorced couple and the Mizbeach, which suffers as a result. Okay. You know, the Gemara says that, I mentioned this before, right? Hashem and Klal Yisrael is like an Ish v'Isha. And, you know, even though we're in Golus, the Gemara tells us, I think it's Yavamas, the Gemara says that, you know, contrary to what the, Goyim think, Hashem sort of discarded us and separated permanently. No, Chas v'Shalom. The Gemara says, you know what it's like? It's like an Isha sheholach bala l'mdina sayam. Not like a wife whose husband just went out of town, v'osad lachzor eleh, and will surely, very shortly return to her. So that's what we have. We have Golus, which is just a temporary separation, and we daven, we believe, Emunah Shalema, that it's just a matter of time, that Hashem will return to us. Hashem, who's our, Zacharti lo chesed nurayich, right? We're the Eishes nurayich of Hashem. So we ask Hashem to bring us back to B'mehira. B'mehira, not like, we had the other day, B'mehira's gematria is, V'neshantem, B'mehira is 852 years. No, B'mehira biyameinu, right? In our days, the way we understand Meher B'Yemeinu B'Kara, which is Zech the Gula Shlema. Mazel Tov, Hadron Lach HaMergarish, Uslikala Meseches Gittin. It's really been a pleasure to learn with you. It's been a schus to learn together for so long. A beautiful Masechta. We should be Zeicha to start and finish many more Masechtas. Gesund to hate, B'Simcha. We should always have Besuras Tevos till the ultimate Besura Teva, Meher B'Yemeinu. Amen.
I know you know sis the soy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the yiro no you know sis the soy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro I know you know sis the soy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro oh is the yiro no you know sis the soy sato yiro ki lo nu was the yiro No, you know what is the